A man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Start the new rescue helicopter. Hey!
You see, when most people think of the Lego games, they're obviously going to think of Lego Batman, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Star Wars, Lego Marvel, Lego insert franchise here, and it's been developed by Traveller's Tales. Traveller's Tales have been the main developer of Lego video games now for well over 2 decades. They developed a formula, and boy did they run with it. Now, I grew up with a lot of these games, and honestly loved them to bits, and I'm sure all of you do as well, but what about Lego games not developed by Traveller's Tales? Now, in the last couple of years there's been a little resurgence of these with Lego 2K Drive and Lego Brick Tales, but for a long time it has primarily just been Traveller's Tales. So cast your minds back as we head back to the very early 2000s and late 1990s to pre-Traveller's Tales Lego games, and let's just take a little stroll down memory lane. Welcome to LEGO Fun to Build. Released exclusively in Japan in December 1995, it's the world's first ever LEGO video game. It was developed by everyone's favourite Sega for the Sega Pico. Now I know you're probably sat there like, Huh? What is the Sega Pico? Well, it was an educational video game system. It looked something like this.
It's beautiful.
The game itself is just a little children's mini-game collection. The games themselves, they're very simple, quite fun. Would be more fun if I was like 5 or 6, but for what it isn't half bad. There is actually strikingly little information available about this game, so to sum it up, thank you LEGO Fun to Build for starting a true legacy of LEGO video games. Welcome to LEGO Island. This game was developed and published by Mindscape, released for Windows PCs on September 26th, 1997. Now this is the second LEGO video game overall, but really this is the one that everyone will count as the first proper LEGO video game, as it was the first time the company was actually trying to get a foothold into the video game market, and I'd say they did so with quite the bang. This game sold nearly 1 million copies.
Wow, what a twist.
Not really.
The game is an open-world, first-person action-adventure game where you can play as 5 different characters, but the main protagonist is called Pepperoni. And he's a pizza delivery boy, and the game follows his efforts to stop an escaped prisoner known as the Brickster. Now, I played this game back when I was a kid, but upon replaying it, I didn't manage to record much for this video because every time I played, this would happen after about 10 minutes. Now this game has developed somewhat of a cult following over the years. There are people who are setting out to make remakes of the game. There are people making sequels. It's very much so loved, and even the critical reception for the game was really good. So if you can get this game working without it crashing every 10 seconds, I would really suggest checking this one out because it is a very good game. Dated, obviously, but still really good. To be honest, there's an entire video's worth of content here just on LEGO Island, so before I continue to ramble on, let's move on to the next game. Okay, so 1998 was a fairly busy year for LEGO video games, but to start off with, this is LEGO Loco. With a fairly nostalgic and impressive opening cinematic, this game is about railroad construction. This was another game I had as a child, so the nostalgia goggles for me are quite thick right now, if that's the right word to use. Probably not. But the basic premise is to construct a town in which LEGO minifigures can live, and the main method of transportation is train, as the name of the game would suggest. LEGO Loco was released on the 11th of November 1998 exclusively for Microsoft Windows PCs. It was developed by Intelligent Games, who are also famous for developing a couple of strategy games based around the world of Dune. Now don't get me wrong, there isn't exactly a challenge to this game, because this is a children's railroad tycoon kind of game, so don't expect any Sid Meier's level of complicated or challenge, but what you do get is charming, it's fun, yes it's simple, but it's a really good time. And also, the characters speak like this. All in all, this game was received fairly well. Critically, the response was quite positive. It actually won a couple of awards, including Best New Strategy and Simulation Software. And I know, although it's not as popular as Lego Island, there's still quite a lot of love for this game from the community as well. Overall, if you can get it working, give it a go. It's a good time. And maybe one day Lego will return to the railroad simulation genre. Although probably not. But one can dream. Okay, so hanging around in the year 1998 for a little bit longer, this is Lego Chess. Developed by Chrysalis Software and once again published by Lego Media. I don't have quite as much to say about this one because I didn't play this as a child, and it's just chess with Lego minifigures. That's pretty much it. It's got some of that Lego charm as well, of course, but at the end of the day, chess is chess. So, you either love it, or you don't. An ex-developer who worked on this game has actually stated that at the time, Lego were quite inexperienced and strict in terms of what they could do with the game. They were banned from bending limbs when animating, and they were not allowed to show any violence.
Once I make my move, the Queen will take me. Then you're free to check the King.
No. Ron, no!
So each time you took a piece in the chess game, there'd be a little cutscene, but the figures would never harm each other. It would always be some comedic removal off the board. Critically, the game actually was reviewed quite well. Critics stated it was quite creative to use the Lego pieces as a way to make chess a little bit more interesting. And having researched this game online for a while, it also appears that there's quite a public wave of nostalgia for it as well. Maybe not quite as much for Lego Island, but this game appears to have been remembered very fondly. Okay, so our final game from 1998 is Lego Creator, developed by Superscape. I don't really have much to say about this one. It's just a sandbox game where you build with Lego. That's kind of it. It's very limited because of the time it was released, but you gotta respect what they were going for. The game has absolutely no missions, objectives, or challenges of any kind, and the developers hoped that the sheer amount of bricks might make up for the fact that there was no objective, but I don't think that worked very well. One cool plan they did have for this game was they wanted players to be able to build content which you could drop into other Lego games, but unfortunately the complexity of this was just too much at the time, so they just dropped this.
I could do so much more! So much more!
Reviews-wise, this game was reviewed fairly well. It received several awards, and it was praised for the ambition that it set out to achieve. It actually went on to spawn 3 sequels as well, including Lego Creator Knight's Kingdom, Harry Potter, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Honestly, I'd like to know what you guys think of this game, because I never played this when I was younger, so playing this now, personally, was quite a jarring experience. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it's dated, so what can we expect? Anyway, moving on.
Hello, welcome to Lego Friend. Want to help us make some music?
Oh, God, give me strength. So I'm just going to come right out and say I don't really think I'm the target audience for this game whatsoever. However, if I was a young girl in primary school, then I'd imagine this game would be right for me. Alas, I am not, so I think this is sh**. Anyway, this is Lego Friends, released on June 1st, 1999 for Windows PCs, developed by Ivanov Interactive. It's an educational music and rhythm game, and its target audience was girls in school. That was it. This game actually has cool to do with the line of toys Lego Friends that came out in like 2012. They were just LEGO were really just experimenting here to see how the audience would react to this. Now, compared to all the other games, this one is not remembered as well or as fondly, but that might be down to the fact that it is an educational game that was in schools, rather than something you'd play at home, like LEGO Chess or LEGO Loco, or anything along those lines. Other than that, there's not really much else to say about this game, so before I lose my mind, let's move on to the next game from 1999. Okay, now we're talking. This is LEGO Racers, developed by High Voltage Software, and released in late 1999. It was released on PC, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and there was also a Game Boy Color port as well. The footage that you're currently looking at is taken from the PS1 version.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I used to love this game when I was a kid, and learning more about it now has been a fantastic experience. High Voltage actually spent over a year creating the car building mechanics. Now, they work really well on PC. I don't think it's quite as good on console, but it does the job. There is a lot of public love for this game, and it did actually spawn two sequels, LEGO Racers 2 and Drone Racers. And as mentioned near the start of the video, 2 decades later, we got a new LEGO racing game called LEGO 2K Drive. On game rankings, the PlayStation version has a 63% overall score, which isn't that great. The PC version sat at 75 and the N64 at 66. So the PC version is definitely the superior one, but there's also a lot of love for the console versions. Overall on Metacritic, however, the user review score is 8.2 out of 10, which is very good. Now, obviously this game isn't perfect, the driving is quite good, it looks nice, especially considering this is a very old game, but it does have its issues, and it is very dated, so make of that what you will. Okay, so rounding off the year of 1999, we have LEGO Rock Raiders, released on the 18th of November for Windows PCs. Now, there is a separate version that's basically a different game for PlayStation, but that wasn't released until 2000, and we're not going to look at this one today. It's a real-time strategy game similar to Dungeon Keeper. It was developed by Data Design Interactive, and was based off of the LEGO theme of the same name, Rock Raiders. Now, I personally love a good RTS game, so it's really interesting to see LEGO dive into this genre so early on in their video game history. The basic premise is the Rock Raiders have to go out on each mission to collect a certain amount of energy crystals. Now, obviously, as the game progresses, so does the challenge, and so does the amount of crystals you have to collect. There are other objectives as well, including finding other Rock Raiders who've been trapped in landslides, or finding certain pieces of equipment and bringing it back to base. All in all, it's just a fairly decent RTS game for kids. Now, reviews-wise, the game was praised for how it looked and how it sounded, but reviewers did state that it can get a bit frustrating and at times very boring to play. It's just not that challenging and not that entertaining, which is a shame. The average score, however, for the PC version on game rankings is 65% out of 100. Not fantastic, not horrendous, just kind of mid. Anyway, so that covers our 1999 releases. Let's move on to the year 2000.
Congratulations! You got the job as trainee park manager. Stop by tomorrow to meet the Legoland team.
Okay, so we're now in the year 2000, the final year that I'll be looking at today. This is Legoland, developed by Chrysalis Software, who also developed Lego Chess. This was released on the 1st of May 2000, literally about a week and a half after I was born. You might recognise that voice from the beginning if you grew up in England. That is Justin Fletcher, aka Mr. Tumble.
It's very exciting because I've come in Mr. Tumble's spotty bag. Thank you!
As I'm sure you've probably already gathered, this game is very similar to Roller Coaster Tycoon, except following the pattern, bit more simple and more child-friendly. Out of all the early LEGO games that I had as a kid, this one was definitely my favourite by far. I've always had a soft spot for Roller Coaster Tycoon-esque games, so this was right up my alley, especially when I was a kid and had no idea how to actually play Roller Coaster Tycoon, because I was too stupid. Anyway, there's a lot of fan love for this game as well, but also, on game rankings it has a score of 80.5%, which is pretty damn good going.
Hi, I'm TV. Welcome to headquarters. Click on one of the choices in the center of the screen.
Before I even say anything else, why did LEGO do Claptrap way before Borderlands did?
What the What is your name? Tell me your name! Are you eating a sandwich?
Okay, so our second to last game today is LEGO Alpha Team. Developed by Digital Domain for Windows PCs, released in late 2000. There was also a Game Boy Color version, and this was developed by Climax Studios, released in November 2000, but we're looking at the PC version specifically today. It is a puzzle game based off of the LEGO range of the same name, Alpha Team. The game follows Agent Dash. Oh man, this is going to be fun. And he has to rescue the other Alpha Team members. That's pretty much the base of the game. The gameplay is essentially a sleeper puzzler, which just means you control the characters by moving the environment, moving different things around for them to jump over, but they just follow the paths that you set out for them, kind of thing. There's also some actual decent puzzles in this game as well, which is surprising for a game aimed at very small children. Now, graphics-wise, it doesn't look horrendous for when it came out. There are some fairly ugly colours in the game, like there's some ghastly greens that just don't look very appealing, but other than that, it's fine. It's a puzzle game, it's not supposed to look too beautiful. Again, this one seems to be remembered fairly fondly by the public. I never played this when I was younger, so playing it now, I do think it's alright, but I can understand why there'd be such a wave of nostalgia for it. Critical reviews wise, again, very middle ground. Having had a look, there's not too much to find about this, but from basic reviews I've read, they kind of range from like 3 out of 5 or 6 out of 10, kind of just like middle grounds, but it seems fitting. But overall, a decent puzzle game to check out. Okay, so the final game we're looking at today is called LEGO Stunt Rally. This was developed by Intelligent Games and released for Windows PCs on the 13th of September 2000. Intelligent Games also developed LEGO Loco. There is also a Game Boy Color version of this developed by Graphic State, released in December 2000, but again we'll be looking at the PC version today. Now, this is actually an interesting style of racing game from LEGO here. It's a top-down slot racer kind of game. That's the best way I think I can describe that. You control the acceleration and the braking, but the steering is controlled automatically. You can switch lanes, but you can't actually steer completely, which is, yeah, an interesting take on things. There are also power-ups because it's obviously got that kart racer vibe to it as well, but it's basically just glorified LEGO Scalextrics. Now, the big selling point of this game is the track editor. You can build your own tracks, and as you progress through the game's career mode, you unlock more and more stuff to put in your tracks. So there's 21 races in the career mode. I'm sure there's some cup you can win at the end to say that you've done all of them.
He won 3 piston cups.
He did what in his cup?
But the bottom line is, you get a bunch of cool stuff to put in your races that you build yourself. Hence the LEGO branding. Now, as with most of the games on this list, there's definitely some public nostalgia for this game. Looking into this online again, I can see quite a few people saying how good this was when they were kids. However, there is also a lot of it now looks very bland. Now, I would agree with that. Critical reviews, again, not many in existence, but the ones that are don't have too much positive to say about the game, but not like too much negative either. Just a very bland middle ground again. So, personally, I wasn't, again, too fond of this one, but I'm sure if I was like 6 or 7 playing this when I played all the other ones, I would have really liked it. Now, that takes us to the end of our journey through some early LEGO video games. Now, there are plenty of other LEGO games around that are not Traveller's Tale branded, quite a few of which probably deserve their own video. There are also numerous sequels to games in this list that I could have covered, but for the sake of simplicity have chosen not to, so again, I could make a follow-up video to even more early LEGO video games, following from here. We shall see. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications, all the usual, and I will see you in the next video.
Oops, you have to put the CD up your ass.